Welcome back. This is part 2 of the introduction to S.N.A.P. S.N.A.P is survivors of narcissistic abuse and exploitative or toxic personalities. My name is Mandy Friedman, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. I work alongside Erika Eisenberg, who is a trauma specialist and certified in EMDR and is also a S.N.A.P specialist. And we lead the group together. In the previous part 1, we went over weeks 1 through 5 of S.N.A.P and the materials that we cover. We also talked about how that sometimes people don't want to participate in the group because they're afraid of the group setting. And I just want to emphasize one more time that we understand that. And we know that it's probably never happened that you've been around a group of people that have had the similar experiences that you have. And so if there was ever a moment to have a little bit of courage and faith in the process, it would be now, because you really are missing out on being around other people that have been through what you've been through. We don't sit around and feel sorry for ourselves. We're not going over traumatic incidents in detail. It's not that type of group. This is a psychoeducational group. So I said that once already in part 1. I'm just saying it again, just to be clear. I mentioned that we were going to talk about the requirements for participation in S.N.A.P. So if you're currently being abused, this is not the right group for you. We are not set up for or intend to help someone get away from their abuser. That's not the purpose of this group. If you are still with your abuser and you're trying to get away, Women Helping Women is a fantastic organization in Cincinnati, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they know exactly how to help you. Our group is intended for people who are on the other side of their abuse, or that they are no longer under the spell of an abuser. Sometimes we're talking about a toxic personality. It's not necessarily full-on abuse. It's just someone who is draining you dry with their nonsense and shenanigans and self-centeredness and neediness, and they're not recognizing your boundaries, and it's a one-sided relationship. So we're also dealing with those types of relationships, not just full-on abuse, but also those that just are exploitative. They just use people, and they're not there to contribute. They're there to take. And identifying those types of relationships. So that wouldn't necessarily qualify as someone you'd need to be, steering clear of to participate in the group. It's just you acknowledge and are aware that the person is not healthy for you, or that your relationship, when it's you plus that person, it equals toxic. So just keeping in mind that not every situation is a full-on abusive situation. It just might be toxic. And that's why we cover this in the group too, because not many people go over that kind of stuff. And in therapy, I'm constantly coming across mindful, self-aware, really soul-searching individuals who try everything they possibly can to help this one person who keeps popping up with issues. And then it becomes a drain on them. And they have a hard time setting boundaries because they have such empathy for the person. Sometimes we're not qualified to help certain people. They need professional help. And if they're not willing to get professional help, unless you want to go and receive the training, technically, we're not qualified to help certain people, but we are qualified to hold space and to be kind. But sometimes if your involvement with an individual or with a group, it can be a group or a workplace or a church, if your involvement with this person or people is causing you to not take care of yourself or to put your own needs last, then there's a problem. So when I say exploitative and toxic, that's what I'm talking about. And we do cover a lot of that in our group. Week 6 of group is kind of wrapping up, and we do our check-in, like I mentioned in part 1. Week 6, we talk about emotional intelligence. Moving forward in our process of recovery, we reevaluate current relationships and speculate over future relationships. One key signifier of a healthy relationship is the presence of emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is self-awareness, self-management, self-regulation, conscientiousness, someone who's empathetic with strangers, discerning the needs and emotions of others, someone who is attuned and able to view things from multiple perspectives, people who behave in emotionally appropriate ways, and that their emotions are proportionate to the circumstance. After we go over the, oh, and by the way, it's Daniel Goleman, Goleman, who is the guru of emotional intelligence, if you're interested in learning more. So after we go over emotional intelligence in week 6, we do kind of a recap of the common features of abusers and toxic individuals, common features of the targets and survivors of abuse, and common features of abusive and toxic relationships. Then we move into tools for recovery. Self-care is something that we talked about early on. That would have been week 2. So we go back over self-care. We talk about naming your deal breakers. For me, I have a deal breaker, and that is that I'm kind of an introvert, believe it or not. And I just need me time and lots of it. Especially after being with clients all day, I really just want to come home and watch some Netflix. So for someone to be in my life, they have to be okay with that. And they can't be disappointed when I say, no, I don't want to do something, that I just want to go home. So figuring out what your deal breakers are, things that you absolutely need to have or cannot have in a relationship. Boundaries. Someone who can name boundaries and they can respect boundaries, often they can pick up on your boundaries without you even saying anything. So moving forward, we set boundaries and we seek people who understand and respect boundaries. Again, emotional intelligence is something that we're looking for in relationships. Also moving forward, we're going to say guilt is a red flag, because all the way up until this point, guilt has been used as a way of controlling us in childhood, through enmeshed relationships, from an abuser or in a toxic relationship of any kind, friendship, or romantic relationship. Guilt is one of the key features that's present a lot. People guilting you over things. Or when you try to do the right thing that's best for you, you feel guilty for doing that. So moving forward, when you're having the feeling of guilt, that's usually an indicator that something's off, that either you're not managing your perceptions in a healthy way that is putting your needs first, or someone else is trying to push your boundaries. Something else that we try to do moving forward in recovery from an abusive relationship is we stop explaining ourselves. I don't need to tell everyone why I do everything. But up until this point, we've felt the need to have to explain ourselves over and over again because we've been with someone or around people that are always demanding an explanation or making us feel like we need to explain. But we don't need to, not anymore. We're going to be more selective about who we spend time with and how much time we spend with them. We're going to surround ourselves with like-minded people who appreciate our experiences and get us. Something really important moving forward is trusting your gut. Wow. Yeah, that's new for us now, is that when we have an uh-oh feeling, we're going to listen to it. If we think something's not quite right, we're going to believe that feeling from now on. And then something else that I really highlight is from now on, healthy people only. Healthy people only. We're not adopting people anymore. We're not fixing people anymore. I guess that as an empath, you feel for people and you want to be that person that never turns them away. You want to be the one person that's always there for them. I get that. I understand that. But sometimes that's the very thing that keeps someone else from getting healthy, is that they always have you to dump on. They always have you to turn to, no matter what craziness they're involving themselves in. So healthy people only from now on. And I'm talking about the people that are in your inner circle, just to be clear. But what is a healthy person? Moving forward, we want to be selective in terms of who we let into our inner circle. We want to surround ourselves with people who truly have our best interest in mind. Furthermore, we want to avoid individuals that, for whatever reason, at this point in time, are not mentally or emotionally healthy. I say this in therapy a lot. As an adult, as a healthy adult, looking for relationships, friendships, the person needs to be who you need them to be now. It doesn't mean that someone isn't going to get better or they're not on their own path for self-improvement. They are, and people do change and get better. So we're not saying that they're not getting better. It's just that right now they need to be the person you need them to be. This is because we easily get wrapped up in the chaos and drama and dysfunction of other people. And so we have to be very clear with who we allow, who we spend our time on in our thought life, and who we're spending our emotions on. It's really important that we reconsider those relationships and whether they really are contributing to our well-being, whether they really truly have our best interest in mind. Let's see. We want to avoid, individuals that for whatever reason they're not mentally and emotionally healthy. I'm repeating myself. We talk about working on identifying key common features of unhealthy people and toxic relationships. But what does a healthy person look like, and what does a healthy relationship look like? And it's interesting that we really do need to list these things. We have to put them down on paper because we've become confused about this big time. Healthy people have their own life. They have dreams and goals. They respect boundaries. They're not passive aggressive. Well, we're all a little bit passive aggressive at times, but that's not their main mode of communicating, let's just say. Healthy people don't make you feel like shit. They make you feel good about yourself. They don't drain you. They practice active listening. They say no when they don't want to do something. They take responsibility and they hold space for you. Holding space means that someone will let you be you and get something off of your chest without criticizing you or making you feel like, oh, gosh, I guess I shouldn't have been vulnerable to that person. I wasn't really asking for advice. So this is the person that you can just, say some craziness to, and they're going to just hold that space for you and allow you to be yourself. Healthy people say what they mean and they mean what they say. They're honest and they're kind. That's very important. Healthy people are honest and they are kind. And they're grown up too. We have a lot of parasitic abusers, and it's important that someone is a grown up with their responsibilities and that they're not mooching or leeching off of someone else. Healthy relationships. In a healthy relationship, you genuinely feel happy for each other. You actually look forward to spending time with each other. You can be yourself with this person. You can have autonomy. You know what to expect with the person. You feel encouraged and nurtured, and you're not playing a role. In other words, they're not making you, they're not trying to put you in the position of being their mommy or being their therapist, so on and so forth. You are not their constant source of support. That's important. They have support beside you. They seek professional help when they need to. You're not responsible for their emotional and mental well-being. They're responsible for their own emotional and mental well-being. So that's week 6. Going back to talking about the requirements for participation, we require that participants attend every session, all 6 sessions. Now, life happens sometimes and we can't make it to one, and that's fine. If you have to miss one, that's okay, but we prefer that you not miss any. If you have to miss more than one, then you're going to have to start over with a new group. And this is because group cohesion is really super important, and we cover a lot of material in 1 week. So you'd be missing a lot, and we come back around to key concepts. So it's important that you attend all 6 sessions. We do have fees associated with the group, and we're flexible about that. Some insurance will pay for group sessions, some won't. Some people can afford a certain amount and some cannot. And so that's something that we would work out with you individually based on your needs. So please don't let the cost deter you from participating in the group. We will work it out with you. To us, it's more important that you participate than trying to make a big payday out of it. Although I'd like to recoup a little bit of my costs, but I'm really super happy to have a room full of people who need to be there, and that's why we're there. I want to talk a little bit more about Erika. Erika is my partner at Claremont Mental Health, and she's a licensed independent social worker. She has a lot of experience in mental health. She is a certified EMDR therapist, and EMDR is a specific type of therapy for treating trauma. She's a little bit different than me in that her personality really balances mine. She's much more kind of, I don't know, soft and easygoing. And she really adds a lot to the group and provides a lot of support to me professionally and personally. And as a group leader, she really has a lot to offer. I'm always so proud to I'm always proud when she has something that she's telling us that none of us know anything about, because she knows so much, and it all ties right into the narcissistic abuse. So I'm probably going to do an introduction part 3 where I include Erika and we talk a little bit more about the group. And I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening. And if you do have any questions about S.N.A.P, please email me, snap@claremontmentalhealth.care. That's snap@claremontmentalhealth.care. Send a question and I'll answer it. No problem. You can find us on YouTube, obviously. You're already there. We're on Facebook. We have my page, Mandy Friedman LPC. We have the Claremont Mental Health Facebook page. And those Facebook pages, every day there are posts that are super relevant to things that you're going through today. Not just about narcissistic abuse, but about all kinds of other really important things. And some of them I've mentioned, boundaries, for example, self-care. We have a lot of good stuff on our Facebook page. We also have a S.N.A.P group for people who, a secret group, for people, it's not secret anymore, for people who have participated in the S.N.A.P program. So after the program, if you're wanting to stay connected and continue learning, you can participate in the online group. So that's available to you as well. Thank you for listening, and send me questions if you have any.